Your Next is a 2013 horror slasher film which fits absolutely perfectly into what I would call modern slashers, which brings in the typical tropes from 70s and 80s classic slasher elements and really emphasizes the modern take on the classic style of a slasher film and does a really, really damn good job with it, especially if you are really into gory kills. This film definitely focuses on those a lot and pays really close detail to them and really primarily focuses on that element alone. Now, of course, you do get some hot girls in here, you do get some nudity here and there as well, but mainly it sticks to what it says right on the back, brutal violence and gory scenes. And they rate this 14A, which is a little bit low in my opinion. This is definitely, it feels like a straight R, but that's the Canadian rating for you. And it's a gem. I mean, for a modern classic, I'd say this is like I could easily put this in the top five, absolutely the top 10 best modern slashers. I'd say off the top of my head, my favorite modern slashers, meaning like after 2010, would be this one and The Strangers Prey at Night. I really adore both films for how much throwbacks and mood they bring from the 80s and some of the 70s. And I just love how much of a tribute they pay and how much of a love letter they, send off to the classic slashers that slasher fans all remember. And this one is, no different. I really, it's a film that like I honestly didn't absolutely fall in love with the first or second time I watched it. This is definitely one that gets better for me with each viewing, and of course, this viewing that I had tonight with Your Next is the best one to date. And it's a simple premise, and the characters are honestly not too well developed because a lot of shit starts to go down pretty much real fast. And this movie is, like I already said, dedicated to the kills and dedicated to the gore. So it doesn't take too long to get into the nitty gritty. I timed it just under 27 minutes before, not the first kill, but the first main kill, which, gets everything going kind of thing. Because we do have an introduction before your next credits roll, where technically there's two first kills, but those are like the opening of the movie, so we don't really count that in slasher territory. That's like a little taster appetizer, you could say. But basically, what we have going on here is we have a family getting together with everybody in the family's significant others, kind of thing. There's 10 people, excluding the killers. 10 people total that we follow throughout the story, while each gets pretty much picked off one by one. A father and a mother named Paul and Aubrey, and then they have their kids Drake, Amy, and Felix. So two boys and one girl, and then these three kids have their significant others of their own. Lots of this is an interesting film too because like the most of the people in it I'm familiar with in separate projects, but they always end up working together. You'll notice if you watch like you'll notice a lot of times the same actors and the same directors will work with each other. Ty West and Joe Swanberg are two of them, which you'll always see one direct and the other one will be in the film, whether it's a cameo or not, and vice versa. So Ty West and Joe Swanberg are both in this one. This one is directed by Adam Wingard, which is another name that works with all these people, and they usually bounce back and forth between each other's projects and help each other out with production and so on and so forth. So it's a really personal feeling film, and you can see the passion behind it clearly. And these are all horror fans. Of course, they dip into other genres as well, but a lot of their projects are around horror, especially Ty West. He just came out with the film X, which is fantastic. I absolutely recommend that one, and makes an appearance in here. And so this family is basically they're getting together, and then a bunch of maniacs come along, and they have crossbows and they have animal masks. And one's wearing a wolf's face, one's wearing a lamb's face. Another one I think is wearing like a goat's face or something like that. And they all have crossbows, and they start off by shooting through the windows. And Ty West, who plays Tariq, is the first to go, the guy who is dating Amy. And then shit just goes from there, and everybody's panicking. And you have your lead. The lead's name is Aaron. Aaron comes to the house with another one of the sons, Crispin. So I did lie. There's 4 kids: Crispin, Drake, the 2 boys, and then Amy and Felix. I'm sorry, Crispin, Drake, and Felix, the 3 boys, and Aaron, the one girl. Or Amy, sorry, the one girl. Too many names here. I've already mentioned in videos that I'm terrible with names, but I wrote them all down for that purpose. So 4 kids, not 3. Crispin and Aaron are dating, and Aaron, as soon as shit goes down, she really starts to like take charge, and this girl takes charge like a motherfucker. And as soon as she starts, you're asking how the hell she knows how to do everything, because she knows how to lead everybody, she knows how to control a room, she knows how to, for the most part, stop everybody from panicking and just keep everybody collected. And she knows how to set booby traps. I mean, she knows where to place everybody, she knows where to hide out. She comes up with all the ideas, and you're like, this chick is badass, but it's not even revealed why, kind of thing. It is later on. There is a part where she explains why she's so good at everything, but we'll get there. And it's just a really, really cool movie. Like I said, everything starts to pick up just under 27 minutes in, and then it just is a train ride, like a speeding train right through the end of the film. And crazy, crazy shit starts to happen. Great kills. There's one kill where Amy, because she's such a great runner, and some of the dialogue is goofy, but it's purposely goofy, and it actually really, really works for this kind of slasher element focused film. And Amy is like, they're all arguing and screaming with like the whole family, and she's like, why does nobody ever trust me? Nobody can, believe in me, and nobody has faith in me, and I'm always pushed to the corner. And she's like whining while there's this like brutal situation going on, and the father, Paul, the father, her dad, is like, oh, we believe in you, honey, we believe in you. She's like, I can run 23 miles in I can run 3 miles in 23 minutes. Sorry. 3 miles in 23 minutes. So they put her up to the task to run and get help, because none of their cell phones are working, and they assume it's because their cell phone signal is being blocked by some device that apparently you can get online for $30, even though it's highly illegal. So, so Felix states. And she's about to run out the door while they hold it open for her, and they claim that none of these killers are gonna expect her to be sprinting out the door, so she has a big chance to get away with it, or to get away, being especially that she's a skilled runner. And lo and behold, as soon as she like sprints out the door, there's a like guitar string, or a piece of like really thin wire that's practically invisible. And I say guitar string because there is one scene where it gets cut, and it makes like a strum sound, like a guitar, right on her neck. So they set it real tight at neck level, and she just totally gapes her neck. And you're not expecting this kill when you're watching this film for the first time. Spoilers. It's on the title, so don't come and sue me. But it's a really good kill. The parents' deaths both are pretty sad, especially the mom. We're never told why she is on the medication that she's on, but Crispin mentions that she's on a medication and she can't drink or whatnot. But as soon as Amy's death happens, the mother just basically goes into complete shock, and she's like in this heavy, depressed, like crying and whimpering in her bedroom, and she basically dies right there. By one of the killers hiding in the bedroom, and then I think he puts a machete through her face or something like that, because there's a scene where she's spread across the bed, and she has like this big blade sticking out of either her chest or her head. It's really, really sad. So one of the girls, Kelly, who's dating Drake, ends up being able to get away, and she runs to the neighbor's house immediately. I do like how the neighbors play a part in the plot. The neighbor who's living next door, apparently, it's mentioned at the beginning of the film, was a college professor. He ran off with one of his college students or something like that, and that's what the opening scene is. Really, really pretty hot to see this girl. Even though this girl, this random college girl, is it starts off with a sex scene, and her facial expressions are totally showing that she's not enjoying um, being here, and nothing is really explained because they die off really fast. A lot of the characters die off really fast before you get to know them deeply or on any kind of level whatsoever. But this neighbor is basically hooking up with this girl, whether they're a fling or whether they're in a relationship. It's never said, and they play this fantastic song, which is basically the theme song to the movie. It's by the Dwight Twiley Band, and it's called "Looking for Magic" from 1977. Great, great track that suits any slasher film and really elevates this film to a very like exponential level and gives it a really great vibe and theme, which I really like. Anyways, the film opens up that way, and Kelly goes to this same neighbor, where both are now dead. But that song that is playing, looking for the magic, is looping because it's on a CD. So it's pretty much full blast, and this is where everybody just assumes that the neighbor is partying or something like that, or just doing whatever. And she's banging on the door. She ends up going to the veranda glass doors, and she's banging. She sees the guy on the couch who's dead now because the killer put him there, and it's hilarious because she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get up and open the fucking door!" It's not even realizing that he's completely dead. I mean, he's not moving whatsoever. I think if he was sleeping, even if he was passed out from booze, I think he would still be able to hear banging on the window and really loud music. But hey, maybe not. But I would think the very pasty pale skin and the absolute no motion whatsoever would probably give it away, or should. But hey, she was also hysterical herself. One of the killers comes behind her and literally just gives her the biggest fist to the face, and she falls backwards, just crashes right through the window, and then she gets a big axe right to like the cheek and like right on the head basically. So that was brutal. Again, trying to go through the deaths first. Paul's death, the father, again was unexpected because this is where the big reveal with Felix comes in, and you at that moment see that Felix and his girlfriend Z, with two E's, that's mentioned very specifically, Zee, are in on it, and they basically planned this whole thing out. Now, we're not given all the details or information, but you do know that Felix is involved with these guys in some way, shape, or form. And it's brutal because the father is stabbed from behind by one of these killers, and Felix is in front of him, and the father's like shocked and trying to hold on to Felix for help, and Felix is just like, ugh. The father like puts his hand on Felix's cheek and gets blood on it, and he's just like all squeamish from blood and everything, and it's just he's just so like evil about it. Like he has no soul or emotion. And I can't really say that because he's squeamish about blood and he doesn't want to kill the family himself, which is why these killers with masks are doing it for him. And he's like, "Did you really have to do that? Did you have to kill my father right in front of me?" It's crazy. I never liked Drake either. Drake is played by the character. I mean, Drake is played by uh, I know his name, Joe Swanberg. He's a phenomenal director. I watch a lot of his films. Love Joe Swanberg. Did not like Drake. As soon as the dinner started, right before the first kill, he's such a shit disturber. He's that snobby little rich kid who's like tall and skinny and like wears adorable sweaters and just puts everybody down sarcastically. He's that guy. And he was like, even talking to Tariq, who's played by Ty West. Ty West in this film is a filmmaker. His character's a filmmaker, just like Ty West is in real life. But he starts talking to Tariq like oh, you're a filmmaker. That's so interesting. Like, have you ever thought of like doing commercials? Commercials are like the future. I mean, and Tyreek is like, yeah, more of like produce a documentary, so I'm like a documentary filmmaker. He's like, you don't have to like documentaries just don't have to be like one specific thing. Like you could like total do like the whole reason I watch TV is like for commercials. Like there's documentary commercials and stuff like that. He's talking like he knows so much. And the thing is, we've all met this guy. We've all met this fucker who like slyly speaks as if he's being friendly, but is actually like trying to talk down on you from such a apparent high level and like know it all kind of slyly putting you down where it doesn't like passive aggressive is I guess the best way to describe it where it's like slyly putting you down where he can get away with it or they can get away with it and everybody around notices exactly what this person is doing though and that's what's so annoying about it and then he goes to pretty much do the same thing with his brother Crispin who's dating Erin the final girl basically and because Erin and Crispin have an age difference and Crispin at one point was Erin's professor before she left the class because she wanted to pursue a relationship and they didn't want to pursue a relationship if one was gonna be teaching the other, so they decided on the relationship, and she decided to I don't know flunk the class or whatever. But Drake, like passive aggressively attacks Crispin on that one, and then it starts this huge argument. But anyways, I just forgot to talk about Drake, and I wanted to give my opinions on Drake because he was that douchebag, and it would have been awesome to see either him go through a gruesome death, but it would also make a lot of sense if he was in on the killers as well, along with Felix, because his passive aggressive like snakiness would really fit if he was in on this whole, uh, you know, plot kind of thing. So, anyways, that's Drake. But continuing on, Erin is a boss ass bitch, like I said. She starts to build these nail boards, which he places on like in front of every door and window, pretty much, just in case anybody tries to come through the windows. We have this whole like Marv situation from Home Alone, where he steps on the Christmas balls ornaments. But one guy tries to come into the window, and he looks in, and he sees a board of nails sticking up, and he notices that there's enough room for him to come in, right? So he steps into the window and he just puts his foot right down behind the board's here, and he puts his foot here without looking there. So there's another board there, and he gets his foot right through a nail. So there's two boards. He saw one and he's like, "Oh, they're idiots, I'm safe." And then he just dives right in, not realizing there's a second board closer to him. Fucking idiot. But so funny. I that was one of the funniest moments that I seen in this film. Other than when Drake is dying and being stabbed by a bunch of screwdrivers or something like that. That Felix is driving into Drake, and then he busts out like the most like disturbed line ever. He's like, "Why don't you just die already? You know how hard this is on me." It doesn't seem that hard. I mean, you drove like 5 or 6 of those things into his body. You're telling me you're feeling a little bit of sympathy there, bud? I don't know. Back to Erin. I love how she absolutely plummets a guy's face with a meat cleaver. So a lot of the people have these like really intense weapons, crossbows, machetes, stuff like that. Bitch has a fucking meat cleaver, and she just hammers this guy's knee, kicks him in the balls, and then just smashes his face right in. She is awesome. Z, the girlfriend of Felix, is crazy. There's a scene where she wants to sleep with Felix because she gets horny, and she's like, "I promise I'll make this quick. I just want you to fuck the shit out of me beside your dead mom." Okay. There's nothing to say. There's no response to be said except a face. I'm like, oh my jeez. And then she's like, "We never do anything interesting." I don't know what clubs you're going to, honey, but I don't want to be a part of them. Even Felix, who, made this whole situation happen, this whole killing, is like, yeah, you're fucked, bitch. Like, go away. It's hilarious. He's like, I'm not dealing with this right now, or whatever he says. It's really, really funny. So it turns out I might as well give the reveal now. This is all about inheriting money. They want to be rich. Felix wants to basically make a murder situation because I guess the neighbors were like collateral damage probably because he wanted to make it like there's these murderers on the loose who killed the neighbors and now they attacked this home beside the neighbor's house and killed his parents, and then he just wanted to inherit their money because his parents are filthy rich. They own this house is beautiful, like it's $1 million home at least, and he just wanted to inherit a lot of money. And there's a scene where the killers are starting to get fed up with Felix, and Felix promises them double the money. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you like an extra 2,000, and then I'll even throw in another 1,000 for your troubles. You'll have to give me like a month for the inheritance, blah blah blah, but I'll make sure you get the money." So this is all wanting inheritance from his family. Like, you have to like hate your family to a pretty extreme level, and then on top of that, not have any heart or soul whatsoever if you're gonna want to pull off a situation like this. Like, who in their right mind? I don't give a shit how much you are disgusted or despise your family. You're gonna pull off this whole situation just for a little bit of extra cash. Well, a lot of extra cash, but come on, there is no moral decency to explain that. That is just absolutely insane. And then I love Erin again after she finishes murdering Felix and Z by shoving a blender into Felix's head. I'm telling you, this slasher is beautiful. And plugging that bitch in and just blending the shit out of his skull and then putting a knife right through Z's head, and then she's just sitting in the kitchen as if she's like exhausted. It's just like, oh, what a dinner party. She doesn't say that, but I bet that's what she's thinking. And then Felix's phone rings, and then I love that conversation from Crispin, where I was wondering where the hell Crispin went. He disappears for a good half of the movie, and then he's calling Felix, and she picks up Felix's phone, and then she's just listening, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I chickened out, I couldn't go along with it." So we discover that Felix is in on the whole plan, and he's like, I get squeamish with blood, and I saw mom die, and I know you're mad at me and stuff like that. And she's listening to the whole conversation, and he's like, you know what, I'm just coming in. And then you see this whole her standing there with the phone, and he starts to, there's a silver lining around this, like, let's make this worthwhile. You can get $5,000 for your student loan and quit your job. Otherwise, like, this whole situation is just a waste. And he's trying to throw the love card at her, which is weird because her facial expressions should show already that she's having none of it. But he tries anyway, and of course he gets a knife to the head himself. And then as soon as Erin stabs Crispin with the knife on his head, she gets shot. And then you realize there's a police officer standing there at the window, and this is where you're like, oh shit, is she gonna like be convicted of this whole shit? The one innocent girl who actually like saved herself and tried to save everybody she could. Is she gonna be guilty? And then you realize that she's still like breathing, so she's not dead. She was shot, but she's not dead. And then she set up an axe trap, and she put it right by the door, and the cop comes through the door, and then the axe has basically a brick on it and just smashes into the cop, and then credits roll, and you're like, well, there's the double whammy. So she's probably going to be convicted of being guilty of everything, and now she technically killed a cop because she set up a booby trap at the door, and I mean, evidence is pointing right at her, so there's not much of a chance in hell that she's going to come out of this situation scot-free. I forgot to talk about why she's so good at all these booby traps and surviving is because she mentions being a survivalist as a kid. She grew up with a very paranoid dad in Australia, and her father believed that like the world was going to run out of resources and everybody was going to have to fend for themselves. So her father basically taught her all the tips and tricks to survive in the wilderness, basically, and this is where she got all her ideas to basically survive if she needs to, and you know, live rogue pretty much. So that's that's where she got it. I like one of the kills she has too. One of the times she kills one of the guys, she uses a camera by basically destroying all the lights in the basement or something like that, and she uses a camera on flash mode, so it not only captures the attention of the killer, but also distracts him at the same time with the flashes, and then she gets the upper hand on him. Really, really good stuff. I love this fucking slasher movie. Okay, this and The Strangers Prey at Night are my top favorites. I know a lot. You know, a lot of people prefer this one over the other one. I like them both, and but still, both of them are kind of mixed with audiences. This one is just less mixed. Way more people love this one than not like it. With Strangers, it's much more 50-50. I liked the original Strangers too, but when it comes to Strangers Prey at Night, it's definitely more slasher territory, and I really really think again they bring they make a modern slasher with influences and paying tribute to the classic ones, and I just think it's great. But Your Next is a high recommendation. This gets 4.5 out of 5 for me on Letterboxd, and it's an easy, probably 88 out of 100. Why out of 100? Because I hate decimals. And I mean, if you want a slasher film that checks all the slasher boxes, this one is pretty darn amazing. So check it out. It's directed by Adam Wingard, and the production team, like I said, with Ty West and Joe Swanberg in it, and a slew of others. Great soundtrack. The score is beautiful. It's so mint for a slasher movie. And then you have your theme song, "Looking for the Magic" by Dwight Twilley. Dwight Twiley. I don't know the artist, so excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But really good song that matches the mood and vibe of the film. So that's Your Next. Go check it out. Honestly, if you haven't seen it, I hope you've seen it. If you're watching a spoiler review, but it is what it is. Yeah. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon. Subscribe if you're interested. Check out my other reviews on the channel. And until next one, take care. Have a good one and cheers.